Hi, I'm Dave Etter with DKNR Management. Let's get right into helping you out here with the 10 questions when designing and building a custom home that you should be asking yourself or the people that you're working with. But first, I'll introduce myself briefly, and then we'll discuss the team just a little bit, and then we'll jump right into these questions for you. You can pause this and read this at your leisure. But basically, I've been in the construction industry in design and degree candidate of construction engineering technology and an unlimited licensed builder for over 4 decades. So you won't find a more interesting mix of someone that has been in and around the construction field, especially in the residential side, but also a lot of experience in the commercial industrial side with mechanical and process piping and chillers and cooling towers and you name it. So there's a lot of things that meld together in different types of construction, and a lot of things that happen that having a good all around background in the industry really helps, especially when it comes to design. So let's talk about the team. You can read more about me on our website as well. And then of course, learn a little bit more about me if it fits that we end up doing a first preliminary interview. So DKNR Designs is a team that is made up of team members that are brought in as needed when we do work in certain areas around the globe. So recently had a trip to Mexico where we interviewed and met with several times an amazing builder down there that we're looking forward to doing some projects on. So we also look at builders and projects and different things for the homeowner as they have a need. So our services and our team is very fluid, that we can do basic services for normal plans all the way up to what we call our white glove service, which I'll talk to you about a little bit later. But it is important to have your project be paramount and the vision that the owner of the project has or wants, to make sure you get a really good understanding of that before you start in the design process. So let's jump right into our top 10 questions. And with question number 1, here we go. Why is it so important to make your design choices before you go to a contractor? So this is a good question you should be asking yourself. Number 1 is to be prepared. The more prepared you are, we have a saying called plan the work and work the plan. The more prepared you are, the better the contractors like you. They're going to take you serious when you have a set of plans that is complete. If you have as many of your selections done as possible for your finishes, electric, plumbing, and HVAC, and cabinetry and countertops and flooring and paint and trim and doors and windows and all that kind of stuff, exterior siding and colors, the more that you can have done before you go to see them, the better off it is, because the better they will be able to give you a more accurate price and time schedule for your particular project. It's also going to help you hit your budget. This is really, really important for you to hit your budget. If your budget is of paramount to you, which it is to most people, it's also going to make your build process smoother and with less change orders. Change orders mean money. Another scenario for why it's important to have your design before you go to a contractor is delivery times are going to vary. And what that means is we are currently in a state of supply chain issues in the United States and around the world in several locations. So a lot of times it may take 16 to 26 weeks to get something, especially a more custom made product or material sent out to you on your site. So you have to be prepared for that, and you need to know ahead of time. And a good builder or a good design team and coordination team is going to let you know if you may have some issues with that. So you need to adjust your schedules accordingly. And sometimes you have to order things right when you start on the project without even having the foundation in the ground. But again, it is important to have as much done as possible ahead of time. So what is most important in designing a home? All right. What is most important in home design? Number one is your wants and needs. So, and being honest with yourself also. So your wants and needs are paramount. Now, if you have a husband and wife, sometimes we have to have real heart-to-heart conversations to say, if someone wants one thing and someone wants another, then they have to get together and figure out what's going to be the best thing that they're looking for. But if they have an overall vision and idea of what they want in a style of home or type of home, then we can take it from there. So the design team can take it and run with it and give samples and so on and so forth. But the next thing that we run into a lot is champagne tastes and beer budgets. So you can't have champagne tastes and beer budgets. So hence this bathroom that we're looking at right here is a really nice freestanding tub with a shower system in there back behind it. And it's a beautiful setup, but you can't have that for the price of a normal bathroom with a couple of sinks and a regular built-in fiberglass tub. It's just not going to happen. So you cannot have champagne tastes and beer budgets. Another thing that we see people suffer from and clients suffer from is what we call space creep. There's price creep and there's space creep. So space creep is when you start out with a 4,000, 8,000, 12,000 square foot, whatever it is, structure. And then all of a sudden you want to add a little bit more space here and a little bit more space here and a little bigger kitchen and then maybe a home theater and and then all of a sudden your structure gets bigger and bigger and bigger and your initial budget, whatever that may have been, is blown out of the water because it got out of control during the design process. Now, with some clients that we run into, that's not an issue and they want what they want and that's okay. And that is all part of what happens in the initial design interview and the initial questionnaire that we go through is what is important to you so we can make sure and focus on those things when we're doing design. The next thing that we're going to talk about for importance in home design is form. Form, function, flow, and purpose. So people will use different terms. American Institute of Architects has different terms for flow and form and function and so on and so forth. I particularly choose to work with terms that are completely easily understandable and explainable to any homeowner or client. And so let's talk about form. You know, the form is the form of the home, the shape of the home, the style of the home. The form is important because it needs to be pleasing to the eye. Not to my eye, not to our team's eye, but to your eye. So often you'll find an architect designs with their form that they have in mind and to fulfill a purpose. I'm not saying that architects are bad. They have their place, but it is important that the form of the home fits your wants, needs, and visions, not ours. Function. Let's talk about function. How are you going to live in the home? What do you want to do in the home? Do you entertain in the home? Do you spend time together in the home? Do you need a home office? Do you need some quiet space? Do you need family gathering time? Do you have a lot of meals? Do you have a lot of parties? Do you entertain? Do you spend time outside? Do you spend time inside? Function, function, function. What is the function of the home? What do you want the home to do? Are you in and out of the home several times a day? There's a lot of different things that come into function. What does the home actually do? Do you like outside breeze? Do you not care? Do you leave your air on all the time? A lot of different things come into function. And then we have flow. Function and flow come together a lot, and they're often talked about at the same time because the flow is how you live in the house. And of course, function and flow are extremely important. In other words, do you need your kitchen closer to the master suite so it's easy to get in and out? Do you need it closer to the office because you spend a lot of time going in and out this way? Do you only leave the house once a day so it's not as important to have the garage as close to the master suite? Is it okay to have some spaces downstairs for guests, upstairs for guests? How do you want to handle that? So what do you do most? Where do you spend most of your time? That's flow and how the house flows and where things move. Now, in a perfect world, it would be lovely to have everything right next to each other with the master suite so the husband and wife can be there, and then you're really close to the kitchen and the laundry room and the laundry and the TV room and but a lot of times that just doesn't work that way. So you have to have priorities. And a lot of times we have people prioritize what they're doing in the home when it comes to flow. And the other thing is purpose. So number 8 in our list here is importance in home design is purpose. So people may think that's kind of a strange question, but what is the purpose of the home? Is it a primary residence? Is it a vacation rental residence? It's an occasional residence? Is it something that's going to be built for you for a lifetime that we need to plan on you being in there when you get older? Is it something that we need to plan on having a lot of family and a lot of vacations and a lot of time? Is it something that is going to be built for longevity's sake? Do we need museum quality, unbelievable finishes in there so this home lasts and stands for generations to come? Or is it just your next house and another place for you to stay when you travel or when you're in the area? Or is it your primary home? Purpose, purpose, purpose. Purpose is important because along with form, function, and flow, purpose gives us the opportunity to add certain things in order of importance that you may or may not want in your house. In your home, excuse me. So pleasing your eye, aesthetics. It has to please you. If your home doesn't please you and you're not comfortable in your home, obviously you're not going to want to be there and spend a whole lot of time there. So it needs to be pleasing and it needs to feel like your intended purpose of the home. If it's for entertaining, you want to walk in and in your main area, you want to feel welcome and comfortable and expansive. So there's room for people to move and roam and gather and mingle in different areas. If you're more of a private family and a private life, you want a little bit more areas where you can sit and relax and be by yourself. If you're a reader, you may want your own place for that. So there's pleasing your eye and aesthetics. There's a lot to do there, and it has to do with colors, form, and textures as well. So that's number 2. What's most important in home design? Let's go to number 3. What should it cost to build? Oh, this is a doozy, right? What's my home going to cost to build? Now, this first thing that you see up there, number 1, says $5,000 to $2,000+ a square foot. And realistically, I have seen homes cost not quite $5 a foot, but you literally can build in some areas of the world. They have build homes for $5 a square foot. If you want to go pack some mud and make your own bricks and stack them up and move in and put straw on the top and pay yourself nothing for the labor, you could probably build a home for that or less. I have seen homes built for well over $2,000 a square foot with museum quality finishes and imported artisans from around the planet that are extreme artists and specialists in their field, doing unbelievable rock, stone, wood, and metal and glass things in homes in special areas. So what is it going to cost to build? It depends. It depends on your site. It depends on your style. It depends on your finishes, and it depends on a lot of different things. And we can discuss that and talk about that in our first initial meeting. But you need to be realistic. So again, we can't have champagne tastes and beer budgets. If you're wanting to build a home with bathrooms and interior finishes like it looks like in this picture, and then you come back and say, I want it all done, I don't want to do anything, and I want to build it for $100 a square foot or something, we're just going to say, we'll be happy to do the design for you, but you're going to have a really hard time making that happen. How much personal time? So what should it cost to build? And this is kind of a strange question to add in there that some may think, but it is important. How much personal time do you have to commit? So our ideal client for white glove service is a very busy individual that has their own business or has their own career. It's a husband and wife. Usually they both work, and they both work a lot, or they both are spending a lot of time at work or at their business, running their business. And they just don't have time to do selections and finishes and all that kind of stuff that's required, even after you get a set of custom plans. So you can get a set of custom plans done and still have a lot of selections to be made if you don't have all of your interior and exterior finishes done and finished schedules and colors picked out and interior design stuff done and so on and so forth. And then you're also still having to meet with and deal with the builder and pick a builder and follow the construction of the house and handle the money and do all that. Yeah, there's a lot to be done. So how much personal time? The less personal time that you have, probably the more that it would cost you to build, because you're going to need help with a lot of those things, even dealing with the contractors and in the process, even after you have your plans complete. So if price is an issue, if price happens to be an issue to you in determining your cost to build, one thing that we can suggest and we would say would be to make a list of order of importance. In other words, have an ABC. In other words, I would really like to have this type of kitchen. I'd be okay with this type of kitchen. And if we couldn't afford it, I would like to do this kind of kitchen. What things are you willing to do yourself? If you have the ability to do some things yourself and your schedule permits, you have family in the industry, you have something that they could kick in and help out. That's going to help with your costs of construction. You have to also figure out your must-haves and things that you can live without. So if you would like to have a home theater room, but it so turns out that your budget won't permit you to have a home theater room or an in-ground pool or a workout room or a 5-car garage instead of a 2 or 3-car garage, then you have to decide what things you can and cannot live without and make a list of those things. Make a list of everything that you want and then start taking things off and making a smaller list. We do that in part of our design process. Then go back to the drawing board if it doesn't pan out. So if none of this works and gets your price and your estimate and budget down where it needs to be, then you've got to go back to the drawing board. And then step 5 is C number 2, be realistic. So it is not a good idea to go through the entire design process and without having some preliminary budgetary numbers after you start working on putting details into the plans. There's certain points when it's okay to talk to the builders and certain points where you really don't want to involve them just yet. And we'll talk about that in one of our other questions, but you have to be realistic in this process. This process is a flowing, fluid process. And the more that you can determine where you want to be in the beginning of this process, before you actually start drawing and doing home plans, the better off you are. So number 4, let's go into number 4. Number 4 is, when is your design done? So that's an interesting question, right? It is important to take your time. And some people we have discovered really have problems and issues with finalizing a plan, because they're always afraid that they're going to miss something or forget something or what have you that they really wanted in their home and forgot about doing it. Our initial process, our initial custom design process, involves a initial planning interview with our clients where they have already gone through somewhere between 40 and 60 questions and put together a vision board of what they really like. It doesn't matter how many pictures are in it. We don't really care, because that all goes to the design team, and the design team starts putting together some ideas and graphs and artistic renderings of the exterior shell of what the home could potentially look like based upon the pictures and videos and other things that you have shared. So it's important to take your time when doing the design. Changes cost money. So when you have your design finalized, you should have gone through everything with your design team in the process to go, okay, I've got what I want electrically and plumbing and mechanical and HVAC and fire suppression and technology and flooring and windows and doors and outside and shell and insulation. And yeah, so there's a lot of things that you go through in the design process that gets that to that particular point to where you have the least amount of changes possible when you're done with your design. The fewer change orders, the better. Contractors sometimes like change orders, sometimes they don't. If you're working with a cost plus contractor, then it doesn't matter. If they're actually doing changes as you go along before they've done installs or ordered anything, then it's going to affect your budget, but it won't necessarily affect your budget if you have made the change before it's time to actually order or install something, and it affects nothing that's been done before that. So fewer the changes, the better. Start early with your design. A lot of people think that they can get a custom home plan done in a couple of weeks and then they're going to rock and roll and get their house built. Nope. We often spent, when we were building high-end homes and even spec homes and especially custom homes, we often spent as much time in the preparation of breaking ground as they did when they broke ground to complete the home. So often there's a lot of work because many times the homeowners are not available and have very busy schedules. So they have to get together when they can to review where things are, unless they've chosen to have their designer go ahead and make all those decisions for them and then just give them a presentation, which is a much better way to go on a time commitment schedule as far as time commitment is concerned. So review. Number 5, review. You're during each step of the process, you are reviewing what has been done to make sure that is still a priority. Sometimes things change during the construction of homes and the design of homes. I've seen people's families change. Somebody gets engaged and they're going to be married, or there's a child that gets a job or moves out of state or does something different that's not going to be around anymore. So things can change. Maybe an in-law needs to come in and move. So, okay, we got to add an in-law apartment. So it's things that need to be adjusted on a continuous basis. Visualize yourself in this space. Now, this is really important. It's important to, if you have a journal of the things that you do on a regular basis, to visualize yourself in this new space. And if you have trouble doing that, then a good design team such as ours will have 3D renderings like this picture. This picture is actually not a live shot of a home. This is actually an artistic rendering. So if you want to be able to visualize yourself in the space, it's important to get some 3D renderings done and 3D visual walkthroughs. You can actually do a fly through of the house to where you're going from room to room, looking at things like you are actually in the house before you even break ground and even before you finalize all your plans and prints as well. You want to find similar sizes around you in your existing home or a home that you really like. If you walk into a space and you really like that space, for whatever purpose it is, it's important to get dimensions of that particular space and height and volume and feel and windows and so on and so forth if you want to incorporate that into your home. Sit and move through the space. So if you have a space or find a space that is very close to what you're looking for, sit in it, move in it, live in it. Lay it out with your furniture and your belongings. You're going to want to be in that space and be there with your things to make sure that it's going to work as well. A lot of this comes down in our white glove treatment, which I'll talk to you about a little bit later. But your design, to put it in a nutshell, your design is done when you're comfortable and you can look at it and see yourself in that space. And if you can't see yourself in the space, the design team, again, needs to do 3D renderings and videos, whatever it is that you need to see so you can feel yourself in that space. You need to go to other physical spaces that are similar size and see those and spend time in those spaces. So that is good for when is your design done. In other words, your design is done when you're happy with it, when you can breathe, and when you can go, yes, this is it. I know that I've got it. And while it's being built, you may find yourself making minor changes. But if you go through this process and review, visualize yourself in it, sit in it, picture your stuff in it, then it'll be a lot easier and less changes, and the fewer the changes, the better. So what is important when looking for a builder or a contractor? And that is an interesting question. So what is important? How much do you know? So how much do you know about construction? How much do you know about the process? So are you familiar with the construction process? Have you built before? How much do you know? How much do you know about exactly what you want? How much do you know about your finishes and your selections and your schedules? General knowledge is still required, unless, of course, you're working with us in a white glove treatment. It's not. Code is not quality. So let me go back to number 2 for just a minute. General knowledge of construction and the process is required because you want to make sure that the builder you're working with has your best interest at heart and is doing a good job on your project. So let's go to number 3. Code is not quality. The purpose of the building code is to establish a minimum of safety for health and welfare and life and limb. It's to stop your house from falling down on your head. It has nothing to do with quality. So just because a builder builds to code does not mean it's quality. Quite often, it's the opposite. A builder should not build to code. A builder should build way above code. Code, if I remember correctly, it depends. That's pretty much the same for every state. You can even have a vertical wall be 1 or 2 inches out of plumb and 8 feet in it, and it's still past code. It's ridiculous. That what code is and what building code involves. So remember that code has nothing to do with quality. Do you know one that you trust? Do you know a builder or a contractor that you trust? By the way, a builder or a contractor, the difference is a builder builds and a contractor contracts. So a builder builds and has a majority of their own crew and employees that actually go out to the project and build the actual project. A contractor has contracts to have it done. They'll contract a foundation, they'll contract framing, they'll contract excavation, they'll contract siding and insulation and plumbing and HVAC. And most builders in the United States are a hybrid combination of the two, that they have some people that are on staff that do things, and then they have other people that they subcontract that do things. In different countries, they do things differently, and it's important to know the difference. In Mexico, for instance, they have a lot of labor in their projects, a lot of labor. A lot of their homes are put together with small pieces of bricks and blocks and so on and so forth that have multi-steps in the process of putting it together. It's a labor-intensive process, but a lot of the builders that build down there also do a lot of the process in-house and subcontract a few different things. So it's different. Will you pay more for quality? When you're interviewing builders and you're looking at their quality, you're going to find there's going to be some that stand out far and above the rest. And it's not that those particular builders are charging you that much more in profit to build your home. It's probably that their craftsmen and their subcontractors are that good that it costs more money to have them on your job. So do you want to pay more for that quality? Again, it goes into the purpose of the home and what you're doing with the home. Is it a lifetime legacy project that you want museum quality finishes? Then you're going to pay for it. Decisions are done, follow the plan. So what's important when looking for a builder contractor, if your decisions are all done, your interior and exterior finishes have been selected, your colors have been selected, follow your plan, follow your plan, follow your plan, stick with it. If your builder offers alternatives to your plan for potential upgrades or downgrades, it's extremely important to learn, know, comprehend, and understand what other parts of the project may be affected by those changes. Just because you change one thing and upgrade something electrically doesn't mean you won't have to do some kind of a change to fire suppression or the technology system or the smart home system or whatever in the house. So it is important to have someone on your team that understands and comprehends that and gets all of that together. Be sure and have a good contract, AIA documents, etc. I'm not saying that's the end all be all. Several contractors do have good documents, but if you use a document from a contractor, most often those particular documents are going to be written in a form that has the contractor's best interest at heart. AIA documents are pretty much universal and accepted anywhere. If you find a builder that doesn't want to accept an AIA document, you should ask yourself why. I'm not saying that is the end all be all and you have to use AIA documents. You certainly don't. Quite often I don't in our process of doing design work and consulting work. But you make sure that you have a good contract and an agreement with your builder or contractor. You don't have the time to babysit, right? So if you have a builder or contractor that wants to give you a lot of allowances and make you go shopping and pick things and so on, if you don't have a set of plans that has everything specified out in it, then you are going to have to be doing some work, and you're going to have to be involved in that process and do some shopping and so on and so forth in order to make this project come to fruition. The next thing we've got is money. Well, the other thing about not having time to babysit is if you run into a contractor that, and again, if you're building a high-end custom home, this really should not happen. But if it does happen, you may run into a contractor that doesn't have a particular sub that he would recommend to use, that if you want someone that you want to use or have a family member or whatever that does that service, you got to understand that you're going to be more involved in that process and the coordinating and putting together of that particular individual and all their supplies and materials and time and payments and everything else of getting that done. So it's important to make sure that you understand that when you're picking your builder and contractor. Money versus time and knowledge. So the more time that you can spend in putting your project together and picking finishes and things on your project, it tends to cost a little bit less money-wise. And then the more knowledge that you have of the actual building process, the building and construction process, to know what things are important, what things are not important, what things have to be done beforehand or what have you, also makes the project go faster and the money better controlled if you know a little bit about it. So who's actually running the project, right? Now, if you have a builder or a contractor that has contracted or signed an agreement to build the home, they are running the contract, they are running the project. And if you are subcontracting out to several different subcontractors, then you're actually running the project. If the builder does some things, but you have 3 or 4 different subs that are coming in there doing things, then you have to be able to be prepared to run the project as well. Even when we do white glove service, we don't do anything to run the project. There's always a licensed builder that is in charge of and running the project. So that is of paramount importance to understand that and understand who is actually running the project and the person on the builder or contractor's payroll that's running the project. Quite often, you will interview and meet with the builder, but he may have a project manager or superintendent that is actually running your project. So you need to meet with everyone that's involved. You got to meet them all. You got to meet the owner, the project manager, the billing department, whoever it is that you're going to be dealing with, and make sure that you get along with all of them. You're going to want to know every person that you're going to talk to during the process of building your home. You want to meet their current clients. You want to meet their past clients. You want to see some existing homes. You want to see some finished homes. So it's important when looking at all these things when hiring a builder or a contractor. So let's go right into number 6. How do you find great suppliers, contractors, and subcontractors, right? So what's some questions to ask now? How do we find great ones, right? We want to find the good ones. So competence, quality, and price. Number 1, competence, quality, and price. in that order. If you want a well-built home, first you have to find a competent supplier, competent subcontractors, and competent contractors or builders. You need to check out their quality, and then you need to check out their price. So it is important to do it that way. If you first shop by price, you're going to be sadly disappointed by the time you get into building the home. If you try and pick the cheapest person all the time in every particular trade or industry that does something on a home, you're going to be disappointed. Spec versus custom. They probably won't tell you. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. If a builder builds mostly spec, I built a lot of spec and some custom. So if a builder builds a lot of spec, traditionally, they use different quality trades and subs. I used higher end trades and subs when I built spec because I built more expensive spec homes. So if you're, don't let that be an indication of not wanting to work with a contractor if they do mostly spec homes, because it depends. If you look at the spec home, if you see that there's things that you'd like to have done in your spec home or things that are in your plans that haven't been in any of their spec homes, ask them the question. It looks like you've never done this before. Do you have the staff, suppliers, and subcontractors available that you can handle this particular part of this project? If they say yes, great. I'd like to meet them and see some of those jobs. So when we do white glove service, it takes a while to interview contractors. It takes a while to see all their work. It takes a while to put everything together and recommend the appropriate builder or contractor to you. It's a lot of work. There's a lot of work to it. So cheap price and quality rarely go hand in hand. Again, I've mentioned that in number one, but cheap price and quality rarely go hand in hand. Readily available is not great. If you have a contractor, especially right now in the building economy that we have going on in the United States, well, in most parts of the United States, if you happen to live somewhere where a lot of people are moving out and you want to build there, no problem. You should have a lot easier time finding a contractor who may be available for work. But if you currently in this day and age and in this market have a contractor that is readily available to start a home immediately when you start talking with them, that's not necessarily a good sign. Now, I'm not saying that you won't happen to have your timing right. And while we're working on custom plans and finishing your plans, you happen to meet a builder and talk to him. And he says, yeah, I'm going to be done with this project in 2 months or 3 months. And you're like, great, that's about the time that we're going to be done with our plans. So that's fine. You feel free to engage that individual in conversation, but there's no need to do any quoting or bidding yet because you don't have complete plans. So, but usually when someone is readily available, when a builder or contractor is readily available, that is not usually a good thing. You need to plan way ahead for these people. Value their time, just like you want them to value your time, value their time as well. Be prepared when you go to meet them. You're already going to have your specifications done. You're going to have your finish schedules done. You're going to have your interior and exterior finishes. You're going to have chosen your flooring and cabinets and lighting and plumbing, electric, and HVAC, and your chairs for the movie theater and the screen and the lighting and the IT and the smart house features and the flooring and the windows and the trim and the paint and the roofing and you're going to have it chosen. And they're going to like that. Check their work. Talk to homeowners or general contractors in person. It is different interviewing someone in a Zoom call and on the phone than it is meeting with them in person. You are going to get a different feel and a different vibe for that particular individual and their company when you meet them in person. Again, knowledge is key. You need to have some knowledge in order to find great suppliers, contractors, and subcontractors. You cannot depend on them taking you by the hand and telling you everything that you need to know. Their job is not to educate you on building and construction. Their job is to build your home. So they're not there as your teacher, they're there as your builder. So delivery and service, suppliers and contractors, one thing that's important is delivery and service. So delivery, again, we mentioned before that there's some supply chain issues around the world that have been affected by different things. So the ability of delivery and the ability of service, how well can they service? Does the builder have one main carpenter that is their main guy that runs around and does finished carpentry and cabinetry and framing? What happens if he gets COVID or whatever? Do they have a replacement? How are they going to be able to service you and your construction project? All right, let's go to number 7. Number 7, when do you finish your estimating? Well, this is interesting, right? So wait a minute. I thought the builder does the estimate. Yeah, the builder does the estimate, but you also are probably going to be involved in the estimate if you're not using us for white glove service or full, complete spec'd out plans. You're going to have to pick some finishes. A lot of times builders will give you allowances. So your estimating is really never done. You're going to start out with a budget for your home, and the builder may give you an allowance for appliances and cabinets and electric and plumbing fixtures. Hopefully they don't give you too many more than that. I have seen builders do allowances for siding and roofing and windows and doors and flooring. And, you should be able to have that stuff picked out and in a schedule or a finish or a list of specifications for what you want in the home, that they shouldn't have to give you an allowance for that. Now, one thing as to why it's never done is lately the logistics, delivery, and supply chain issues can cause problems. There's pros and cons to using a spreadsheet and software, but let's go back to number 2 for a minute, the delivery and supply chain issues. Sometimes you may have picked something out, and during the design process, you find that it is available and it's readily available and so on and so forth. And then all of a sudden, when it comes time to actually order that or get it into the house, it's no longer available. It's on back order. It is no longer made or produced, or the manufacturer stopped doing it, or whatever the case may be, and you have to have a backup, and that's going to affect your overall budget, in your estimate. Pros and cons to a spreadsheet and software. Estimating software is really the way to go in the modern day and age. You have all your finishes and selections and schedules and everything right inside the software. If anything changes, it notifies the builder and you and the subcontractor involved that, this has changed. It also lets you know when you need to order things, so on and so forth. If you try and do it in a spreadsheet, it's going to be a nightmare trying to coordinate and put a spreadsheet together with a calendar. Your builder should do this. A good, high quality builder will have software available for the client that they log in and see where the project is at any given time, including pictures of the project and how things are going along. They should be able to log in and see what the schedule looks like. And that's all because of software. So what's your backup plan? Number 4, what is your backup plan? And that's what we're talking about with logistics, delivery, and supply chain issues, is that if you have something that is not available or no longer available, or all of a sudden on back order, or maybe on the delivery it got damaged and then you have to figure out a different option, you can either spend your time with attorneys fighting with the builder for whoever damaged something or lost something, or you can just have a backup plan. So it's your choice. There's 3 options, okay, for doing your estimating. Always have 3 options. Option A, option B, option C for all the main things: for windows, for doors, for roofing, for siding, for cabinets, for flooring, for finishes. You don't have to pick 3 different colors or that kind of thing, but you may want to pick 3 different window suppliers. You may want to pick 3 different styles of cabinets, good, better, best. And so when it comes time to get cabinets ordered and things, if something happens to one of them, you can switch to an alternative. So if you have that available, it's great. And again, you don't have to have 3 options on everything, but main things is important. A front door, pick 3 different options on the front door, unless you can buy it and order it and hold it and store it somewhere until it's needed. That's fine. Which is not a bad idea either, having a little storage building or storage facility, a monthly rental storage unit that you can put some things in before they're needed on the job site if you find a deal or something that's perfect, that you want. So make sure the builder has great scheduling, right? That's all goes back to the software. Number 6, make sure the builder has great scheduling. What if you find a better deal? Number 7. So you've picked something out, you picked your cabinets, you picked your windows, you picked your mantle, you picked a fireplace, and then all of a sudden you're wandering around and you drive around and find a different place or find a place that has this newfangled masonry fireplace system that you just love and you want to put in the house, and they haven't started the framing yet. No problem. There probably should not be a change order unless something happens to change the foundation or the framing of that, or their subcontractor that handles the fireplaces is not familiar with that brand and you have to use a different sub or something like that. There's all kinds of questions. Don't automatically assume that if you find a better deal, the total cost of it is going to be a better deal. Always check with your builder. Always check your contract and your agreement. So be prepared. Be prepared, be prepared, be prepared. Get your options, find all the stuff that you want, pick your selections and colors, have your backup plan, do this best as you possibly can. Be as prepared as you possibly can. What about price increases? It is not uncommon. 9 and 10 kind of go together, expected time of price locks. It is not uncommon nowadays, it is not uncommon that price locks are often only 7 days. So it's very hard to plan ahead and estimate the entire project for framing materials and roofing and cabinets and windows and doors and all that kind of stuff, electric fixtures and plumbing fixtures, when if you're building a large, complicated home, by the time you do the original estimate, you may not order those things for a year. So in that year, costs are going to go up. And any builder worth his salt is going to have that in his contract, that whatever you have in the estimate and whatever he used as the number to estimate the electric plumbing fixtures and so on and so forth, if the price goes up, you're going to pay the difference. So you need a contingency factor in your estimate and in your budget for price increases. Expected time of price locks, we discussed that a little bit. Alternate design plans, I-joists. In our area right now, I-joists are not available. So you either need to use trusses or dimensional lumber because no one can seem to get any I-joists. The manufacturers were not making them. That may have changed here recently, but you have to look out for certain things. Sometimes things have to change. You have to be able to go with the flow nowadays in this modern time. All right, let's go on to number 8. Number 8 is, what are the pros and cons for hard price or cost plus? This is an interesting subject that people sometimes have. They sometimes have good and bad things to say about both of these things. But hard price, you know your cost. If you have a hard price contract and the contractor gives you a hard price to build this house and it includes this and this and this and this and this, you know your costs. Or do you? Prices are higher for contingencies, or like we just discussed, if prices go up, there's usually some verbiage or something in there that talks about, pricing can go up. How long is the price lock? And then allowances. If your builder has a ton of allowances, then you've got to make sure that you have all those selections made so you know what that stuff is going to cost, including delivery. And you know what your cost is for your project. So that's hard price. Then there's cost plus, is a question of trust. So you have to look out and you have to be able to trust the builder that's doing a cost plus project. So I have seen builders before build a home for quote unquote cost plus 5%. That's crap. That's never going to happen. The builder will never make money. Cost plus 5%, you cannot make money building for that. So what they would do is they would inflate their suppliers' numbers, their subcontractors' numbers. Their plumbing subcontractor may show an invoice to the owner of $70,000 for plumbing work and all kinds of stuff, and he may actually invoice the builder $40,000, and the builder sticks $30,000 in his pocket. I've seen it happen. Also, there was a project that I was looking at. It was a multi-million-dollar home, and padding the pricing and padding the costs, especially if they're doing cost plus work. I saw an entire pallet, an entire bundle of flooring get delivered and unloaded off the delivery truck, a couple of pallets actually, and they pulled it right off the delivery truck and threw it in the dumpster. They did not even attempt to return it, get a refund or anything. It went right off the truck and right into the dumpster. And it made me wonder how many things on that home that owner paid for that ended up just being either waste or they were ripped off. So you have to be available if you're doing cost plus, and you also have to be sure that there is some verbiage in the contract that the builder, even if it is cost plus, is responsible to guarantee that the materials that need to be used on the home are fully estimated and fully included in the budget estimate. So if they needed 1,000,000 board feet of lumber for this particular project, and they ended up using 1.4 million board feet of lumber for the particular project and just billed you for the difference, why? So there's a little bit more work involved in trying to deal with a builder on a cost plus basis. But it is possible to do. You have to make sure your I's are dotted and the T's are crossed, and you have to make sure in your contract or your agreement that even though it is cost plus, that the builder has not forgotten anything out of the budget. And then you have to be able to look at the budget and realize if it's good or not. Again, knowledge. Try a hybrid. Number 3, cost plus not to exceed. What's the worst case scenario? So let's say that you have a cost plus builder and your budget is $4.8 million. And he says, I think even with price increases throughout the year and a half that we're building this project, I don't think we should see any more than $5 million. Then if he's willing to put a cost plus not to exceed of $5 million, what that means is that even if the costs go up on the supplies and products that he needs, that he won't charge more profit. He'll still do that project for that particular price. Or it may be that his profit is set. Contractors will also do a set profit amount. So if their profit is 15% and their profit is $700,000 on a $4.8 million job, that's fine. They can have a portion of that $700,000 as the project progresses. And the actual costs for all the subcontractors and suppliers and trucks and phones and all that garbly goop is, in there. If they do it that way, and it's all spelled out in the contract. So try a hybrid and look for worst case scenario. Trying to get the builder to work for free never works. If you, I honestly just had a recent experience with someone that wanted me to help with a project that they were working on, and I had to walk away from the project and helping them in any way, shape, or form, and told them that you can't, they were continually beating people over the head on cost and price. And it was a problem. It was a big problem. So if you try and talk with people that you're trying to get an extremely fine quality custom home built, and you keep going, what's your best price? What's your best price? What's your best price? They are not going to want to deal with you, and you're not going to end up with a good builder or contractor. If you want the Walmart of builders, then go ahead and go for that, and you're going to get what you pay for. So, all right, let's go into. We've been almost an hour in this, but I wanted to make sure to get this information out to you, and it's paramount that you understand these things and these questions and what's involved in the actual process. When do you contact contractors, subs, and suppliers? Well, finalize your plans. Almost. Unless they're involved in the design and choices, such as timber frame, specialty contractors, maybe a masonry, a full masonry fireplace that needs a foundation, and we have to figure some of that out. Custom cabinetry that has to have a certain space or fit or, build in or whatever. We may need to contact them so they have some idea of to the scale of the project and the size of their cabinetry and things that are needed in the estimate. Fireplaces, hot tubs, hardscaping, landscaping. In the initial stages, you basically want to find out their time frames. You basically want to talk to contractors, subs, and suppliers and find out their time frames. How long is it going to take me to get this? How long is it going to take to get this? Well, it can take this, it can take that. Okay. And you're going to want to make note of that. And if you're dealing with a builder that's supplying everything for you, that's up to them. But don't waste their time. Don't go into a builder saying, I'm having some designs, I'm having some plans done. We're going to have a 6,000 square foot house with an outdoor kitchen and a swimming pool. What's that going to cost? Don't do that. Don't do that without having plans and prints and things in front of you for them to actually look at specifications, finished selections, and detailed blueprints. Be prepared, be prepared, be prepared, be prepared. Watch out for plumbing, electric, HVAC, sound, video, alarm, specialties, windows, doors. I was in Mexico recently, and the project that we were looking at in Mexico had a 300 and something kilogram front door. The front door weighed 700 something pounds. I mean, it was a big monster front door. So that thing had to be installed when they did the framing. They had to actually have the door on site. And while they were blocking around the door, they had to put the structure and ball bearing system in that holds the door while they were putting the foundation of the home up. So you have to look out for things like that. You have to be prepared for stuff that has to be planned way ahead of time. Let's go to number 10. Number 10 is, when is your design done, right? And I think we hit on this a little bit, as when is your estimate done, but this is about when is your design done. It's important to take your time. Changes cost money. Fewer change orders are the better, right? We talked about this. Start early, review, visualize yourself in the space. We hit on this already, but I want to talk a little bit further on this, because before we were talking about the design being done, and now I really want to talk about the design and the estimate and the budget and everything being done. Sit and move through the space, lay it out with your furniture and belongings, and I'm talking about our white glove treatment. So this slide is very similar to the one that we saw before. So let's talk about, when is everything done? The process is never really done. So the design process and the estimating process, the budget process and the construction process all go hand in hand. So I should have done this question as, when is your work done, not when is your design done. But the budget, the finance, the schedule, the builder, the selections, and all that kind of stuff, do everything that you possibly can ahead of time, and that stops you from having to do stuff and changing it later. And it's a lot less stressful. It's a lot less stressful to do it at a later point in time. Okay. So that's good for number 10. And again, that was a review of another one. My apologies on that, but I wanted to make sure to get that everything melds together, and you need to have, your design is never done. Your estimate's never done. Your budget's never done. It's always being monitored and always being worked on. And so is your schedule. Your schedule changes. It's fluid all the time, as weather has issues and supplier abilities, supply chain logistics and delays and back orders and subcontractors not being available and that kind of thing. It happens. So, and if you just yell at your builder, it's not going to help. Trust me. White glove preview by invitation only. So if there's some legacy projects that you want to have done, if you have a dream, a vision, and a plan, we go on outings with our clients that we choose for white glove services to discover the perfect finishes while we're working on the project. And again, a lot of this is area specific. I had a wonderful time in Mexico meeting the builder down there, and we actually went together to several design houses down there and found some fantastic and interesting things down there for clients that we would have not have seen had we not put our heads together. And a couple of things we found just by driving around. And so again, it's fantastic. And you'd be surprised not only at what you can find, but we went from one place and went to another place and found the same exact items that were about 30 to 40% less than they were at another place. So the owners are very happy about that. Just like, yes, you've earned your pay today. So we do go on outings to discover finishes. There's artisans and builders from around the globe. There's finish people. There's craftsmen. There's products. When we built in Western North Carolina, we imported stone and mocha onyx stone from Turkey and Italy. And so there's a lot of things that you can get if you have the right suppliers or find the right people. And believe it or not, it was actually less expensive to do that than it was to just go to the local supply house and get a similar product. So it is different. Just because somebody has money doesn't mean you have to spend it all. Okay, that's our mindset. My mindset. If I can get the same exact product and same exact finish that I want by going into a super fancy design house, by getting it through one of the suppliers that I have or the builder has, great, let's do that. So even if you're doing cost plus, you still have a financial fiduciary responsibility to your client to do the best that you can with their dollar. We review builders and we review budgets with white glove services. There's every interior detail. There's a full list of these services and what's potentially involved and what could be included, what may or may not be included in white glove service on our website. But we have very few clients that we do at once with this to focus attention on those particular clients. Okay, that's our white glove preview. So how do we actually work with our clients? What are some of the ways that we work with our clients? Well, we have basic plans that we do a traditional set of blueprints that just including extensive design work and some virtual meetings. So we understand your vision. You go through the same question process as our initial white glove service people do. This level of service gives a moderate level of technical detail for a modest fee. The use of engineered stamp plans may be added at additional cost. We do have engineers that we use if we need them. We are not licensed architects. So if we do need stamped plans in the area that you are building, we do have engineers that we will pull in to stamp plans just like architects do. Architects do the same thing. So most of our artisans and designers and craftspeople that we work with are the same ones that work with some of the highest end architects around the planet. So it's the same people that's actually doing the design and the drawing. Don't let that fool you. Some architects have in-house staff, but a big overwhelming majority of architects, a lot of them, will subcontract that service out. Full custom plans. If you need more than basic plans, including building sections in a window and door schedule and 4 elevations and a roof plan and a foundation plan, if you need more than that, our full custom plans include interior and exterior design selections and finish selections. They include access to our online catalog resources, cabinet resources, suppliers, and more. We include renderings, 3D visuals, virtual walkthroughs, are available, not included in the basic full custom plans, but they are available. And also in the full custom plans, you would end up getting into full specifications, window and door schedules, finish schedules, cabinet schedules, flooring, lighting, plumbing, you name it. White glove service takes full custom plans. This level of service is on an invite only. And we have a few clients at a time. We guide a client every step of the way, or we do it all for you. The original idea, picking land and location, going out and seeing the land and seeing the site and seeing the location. We do that on full custom plans as well. It's an additional cost for travel. But the final turnover to where we're with you as your eyes and ears, we act as you when we are in there on white glove service. That's the three different ways that we work with our clients. So here's some feedback. You can stop this at any particular point. This is just partial sections of feedback from some of our clients. We have a lot more on our website and in our Facebook page, I believe. So that you can go ahead and read up a lot more about that. And we'll probably have some videos coming out shortly that we'll get out to you as well. But again, this is not a project that we have done. This is a combination real plan with a rendering, believe it or not. So contact us today at the link below to go ahead and get started and look at the options that we've got. We really look forward to talking with you soon, and hopefully we can make your dream become a reality. As we always say at DKNR Designs, you plan the work and you work the plan. So this is Dave Etter signing off. I appreciate y'all stopping in, and we'll see you all real soon.